Hello, I'm going to talk to the slides that I would have shared with you yesterday evening and hopefully be able to give you a flavour of what it is that your students will be doing in their Year 7 Adventure Week from Monday the 4th of July to Friday the 8th of July. Mr Smith, who is their new head of year and will be taking them into Year 8, will be leading the trip and he will be taking time to get to know the students. It'll be a great opportunity for him to build those relationships with your children. We are going to Marchants Hill, which is just a short distance away actually in Surrey. Some of your children may well have been there for day trips with their primary schools. I'm hoping not too many have already been there to stay before, but it's a really nice site with lots of exciting activities for everyone to get involved in. PGL are running the trip, so we'll be using their providers, their teachers to support the young people with all the activities that they will be doing. And as you can see there, they are fully risk assessed and hold all the right qualifications to be leading such a trip for us. Marchants Hill itself, as it says here, has a range of activities. It has water, which is something we were keen for the students to get an opportunity in, but it also has this 45 acres of ground in this wonderful setting as well. So there'll be lots of space for them to run around in and to do these range of activities in. Our start is Monday the 4th of July and we don't actually have to be on site till 3:30. And we will arrive back to school on Friday the 8th of July around the same sort of time. As you can see, we have a number of staff going, so we have Mr Smith, who's leading the trip, Mr Sorensen, who is one of my extended leadership team, Mr Mitchell, Mr Parrish, Mrs Avery, Mrs Buchanan, Mr Osborne, Mrs Frost and Miss Ackerbarn. Mr Sorensen and Miss Ackerbarn are both members of the senior leadership team. They're going to split the week actually, so one will be there till Wednesday and the other will be there from Wednesday to Friday. And we only have Year 7s going. In fact, we've got a total of 88 students going all together. What do they need to take? Well, with English weather, it's very difficult to plan, but they are going to be busy every single day. They are going to need old clothes because we can't guarantee that they will be kept clean and tidy. The activities will take part come rain or shine. There are some activities that are on the water, so students might want to put a swimsuit in to put underneath some shorts and t-shirt. It does suggest that they have one pair of old trainers or water shoes for some of the water activities that they do as well. Students also need to make sure, please, that they have their own sleeping bag or duvet and a pillow. I think that's really important. And as it says there, a bin bag for their wet clothes and a torch for the evening. If we can, we'd like to get that into one holdall and then just have a day bag for the students to take sort of their everyday things in. So we will send further information around final details. The plan at the moment is that the students will travel from school. They will get a train from the Great Western train from Redhill to Hazelmere, and then we will get a bus to the centre, leaving school at around lunchtime. Students won't need to take their luggage, but they will need to take their backpack with them. As we said there, please one bag per student where possible, and we will transport those to the centre by minibus. For the journey, we think it will take approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete the journey from school to centre, so a few snacks and at least some drinking water would be useful. Mobile phones are not allowed to be taken on this trip. We strongly advise that we take student mobile phones because they get damaged. We also want to make sure that students can thoroughly enjoy the experience, and without phones it takes some of that element of feeling under pressure and dealing with things that they are not in control of as well. So phones will not be allowed, and if they are seen, they'll be taken off the students until the end of the week. So therefore we would advise them to bring lots of books and magazines, maybe some playing cards or some small board games, so that in any downtime, of which I hasten to add there'll be very little, but they have got something that they can get on and do. And we know that students like to take pictures, so a small camera can be brought to the centre, but please note that it is the student's responsibility to look after that. So as you can see from here, their day will start with breakfast in the morning. There will be 4 sessions a day, some evening entertainment, and the aim is really to build memories, but also to help build new friendships and relationships, to challenge, take everybody out of their comfort zone, to expect a little bit more from them, and help them to build their own development and confidence. And hopefully that will then feed into them building a greater appetite for learning as well. These are some of the activities. We haven't had a complete confirmation of those activities at the moment, but with 4 a day and being there for 3 full days and a half day, they will get to experience a good range of those. Certainly we've asked that they will do some raft building, that they'd get on the giant swing, and some of the quad biking and things. So we hope that they will get to do as many of those different things that they can't do every day while we are there. And equally of an evening, we've got a whole range of activities from campfire to an ambush for them to be involved in. They will be extremely busy, and that's exactly what we want from them, so that they come away, go home of an evening feeling tired in a nice way, and just having had some fun at the same time. The accommodation will be basic, as you can imagine. They're in lodges which sleep between up to 6, and then there are some other houses and rooms which sleep between 4 and 8. We have asked on our form that we've sent, and the link is connected to this, that they identify 2 friends that they would be happy to share with. We will make sure that they are with at least one of those, where possible with both of those, and we will be issuing and allocating the rooms when we get there. It really is nothing for anyone to worry about, because they are just literally going to go to bed to sleep. So most of the time they'll be out of the centre. There are good communal areas, there's space for them to play if there's any downtime. So it is a matter of going to your room to get showered, get into your PJs, and go to sleep, and that won't be till about 10:30 any evening, and then we're up at 7. So I appreciate it's different. Some of these young people have not been away from home before, and it does feel a bit nerve-wracking, but we will make sure there is at least one friend, but it might be some of them, they don't know each other in some of the rooms, and this is a good way to build new friendships. There's a great dining room, there's good facilities totally, and we can talk about the food in a moment. There is a small shop, so we're advising that students do take a bit of money if they want some snacks or something, and as I say, they'll be allowed to go off and play. They might need a watch, because we might give them a time to say you need to be back for dinner at this time, and obviously without their phones they won't have a means of keeping track of the time. So if there are watches around, please encourage them to wear those as well. As I say, food is all provided, so they'll get their meals per day. There's a seemingly nice option of foods, and we will be encouraging the students to try a variety of tastes, even if they're not that keen. There will be the basics, potatoes, bread. We will be insisting that students do eat something at every meal. They're going to need the energy, because they're going to be busy all day. And in the pack that I direct you to at the end, there are some sample menus that you can have a look, and I think we sent one out a couple of weeks ago. So just sort of to recap some of that information, please leave mobile phones at home. Please only bring roll-on deodorants. We do have some youngsters who are sensitive and have asthma, so aerosols are really not suitable in small dormitories. As I've said, bring some pocket money. I don't think you'll need more than £20, so between £10 and £20 would be absolutely super. We have set a Facebook group up so that we will upload some photos every day, so you can see what your children have been up to, as you're not able to have that daily contact. And there are 3 emergency phone numbers that will be available to you if required. again, I would really stress that please do only use those numbers in an emergency. Your children will be looked after very, very well, and if we have a problem or if your young person is not feeling very well, we will contact you. So no news in these cases are good news. It means that they're having a great time, they're getting on fine, and you really don't need to worry. Equally though, if your child does get upset or they're bothered because they've been away from you, we do have phones which we will allow them to have a short conversation with you if we don't think it's going to make the situation more difficult. So sometimes we have to use a bit of a judgment about whether it's actually going to help or hinder the situation, but we might have a conversation with you ourselves if we get into that place. Hopefully we won't, because they'll be so busy, and it is just a short time that they really won't have time to worry too much. As I've just been talking about this, some of the students might have some anxieties being away from home. We've had a disruptive couple of years, and I know some of the trips have been cancelled. So this might be the first time your child has been away from you for this length of time. All of our staff are highly trained. They go on these trips knowing that it's not an easy ride. It's lovely to be doing something different from teaching, but they are on duty through the night and at all unstructured times. They will comfort and reassure your child if they are needed to you, and they will contact you if they are in any way worried. We want everyone to be involved in everything and to have a go at everything. We understand that for some there'll be great fear about doing some of these activities, and we're not going to force them, but we will be encouraging them to have a go, and we'll be asking that they all support each other, because we know that if you get the crowd behind you, it does feel a bit easier to do. And also by seeing others who are fearful counter their fears and get better at something, they too might get the confidence to have a go. There are 3 numbers here. Mr. Smith, who is there all week, has his mobile number, and then Mr. Sorensen and Miss Akaban's numbers, but please note the days that they are there. So again, if there was an emergency, then please do contact them. If there is an emergency that means that something has happened at home, we would ask that during school hours you contact the school so that we can plan with you how we might deal with that. And it just takes that element away from the members of staff there who are trying to run the trip. And below I've also put the Facebook group, so please, if you are a Facebook user, find that address there, Year 7 Carrington School Adventure Week. It's a private group set up just for yourselves, and we'll be uploading photos each day so you can see what they have been up to, and it's a good way to keep those communications going. If your child has any medical needs, please note to hand that in on arrival. Students shouldn't have medicines in their bedrooms under any circumstances at all. They will need to keep asthma pumps, and if they need an asthma pump during the night, that is okay. But other medicines, antibiotics, if they're unfortunate to be on that, or cough medicines, please do make sure you hand in. Equally, hand us some paracetamol. If you know your child might suffer from headaches or even period pain, then please send some paracetamol in, but hand it in to the teachers. Do not leave paracetamols in cases, because we don't want students to be taking it in case there's an accident and we're not sure what they've taken. So hand it in, and then staff can allocate, if you put how much they might have if they have a headache. We're not allowed to hand out medicine without the authorisation, and we would keep a track of what medicine has been issued and administered if that's the case. And equally, so it's really important that you put that information on the form, which there's a link to a bit later on if you haven't already. So on Friday, when they leave, we'll be leaving the centre approximately at 2 o'clock after lunch, and we'll be driving the students back by minibus to school, and hopefully, roads permitting and railway strikes permitting, we will be back by 3:30. We will provide updates as we leave the centre and put them on the Facebook group, but equally we'll put them onto our website and other social media forums as well. Just a little bit on expectations. I'm sure we won't have a problem because the Year 7s have been absolutely amazing this year, and I've looked at the list and I know that they are great young people who just want to go and have a good time. But it is really important that we stress there will be other schools there. We are sort of exemplars to others that are around us, and we want to make sure that everyone's on their best behaviour and can have a really good time. And we hope, therefore, that the students will uphold our values. I think it's really important to stress the need for everyone to sleep, and so once in rooms and lights out, really impress upon the students that that is their time to respectfully quiet them down and go to sleep, because staff do have to monitor, and if there's silly behaviour it means they can't go to bed very early, and that's really unfair on them, and that's when moods begin to change. And equally, we know that young people don't function very well on lack of sleep either. So I know that it can be very exciting at night times, and we will certainly allow some of that freedom and fun to take place. But once we get to a point where lights are out, we would hope that everyone would respect that and quieten down. We do have a send home policy. We've never had to use it, but just so that we are all clear on the expectations of both the centre and us as a school. So there's no antisocial behaviour to be allowed, and that is about bad language or the way that people speak to adults or each other. We really do want everyone to remember their manners, particularly when they're in social areas and dining rooms. As I said, there's no mobile phones to be on the premises. No one is allowed to leave the centre, and should check in at the right times with their key members of staff, and they'll be allocated a member of staff probably on the morning when we get there, when we've worked out the layout of where rooms are. They'll have someone who they can go and ask advice for, but who will equally say you need to be here by 5 o'clock, and we expect them to be there at that time. As you would expect, no girls in boys' rooms, no boys in girls' rooms, and really no going into each other's rooms at all, because it's not fair on people who might not know groups of students, and we don't want things to get lost, we don't want anything to get broken. And you certainly won't be allowed, students won't be allowed to go into other areas and other school areas and other rooms of other schools as well. So if we find that we're not able to manage that, we do have a send home policy and we would use that. We absolutely hope we don't need to, and I can't expect that we would with this particular group of students either. And finally then, parents, please can I just ask, if you haven't already, can you complete the medical and dietary form? This also asks you for friendship information. I will be setting the rooms with Mr. Smith early next week, so we'd ask that that form is completed by Monday morning of next week. As I've said, we will allocate rooms on arrival. There is also a pack available on the PGL website, which I've linked you to, so if you did want to just know a little bit of information, then absolutely is fine. Now, I appreciate it's not easy to ask me questions directly from this PowerPoint, but if you do have any questions and wish to email them in, do so. If you have any concerns, or your child has any medical or concerns that you think we should know about and you'd like a conversation, please put that in the email and I'll get the right person to give you a call to have a chat with you ahead of them going off on the 4th of July. On the 4th of July, just to finish, students will come into school as normal. Please feel free to drop them off at 8:30. We'll find a safe place for them to keep their bags. They do not need to be in uniform, and then we will organise them and get them ready to leave after one of their breaks and in their groups during the course of the morning. Thanks very much for listening. I'm really sorry I wasn't able to see you yesterday personally to give you this information. Please use the email and email me should you have any further questions. Thank you and goodbye.